Okay.
I'll just mention two more minor points and then I'll open it up for questions. Obviously, it can go on, there's more in the book. One of the things as well is that if you are struggling, I do give it away as a free PDF on my website, but it's always nice, I think, to have a paperback book. If you do want a PDF or you want to tell someone else that they can get it to look at it, then there's a piece of paper in the corner that gives you the address of the website and where that free PDF is. Two little tips I think that I would like to share. A friend of mine said, why don't you leave £5 note on the table? And I would say that this has been fundamental to turning my financial life around. In a world where we're used to using cards, I know that we have cash in our pockets still occasionally, but you don't normally leave a £5 note out that you don't touch. And this is the key thing. So what I do at home is I'll take, and you need a note. I mean, it doesn't matter whether it's a 5, a 10 or whatever. And you leave it on the table like that. And I have it under my I have a desk, a paper diary, because I find it easier than electronic, and I can just glance at my week of things that need doing. So I put a fiver to start with, and then I made a little post-it saying I am wealthy. And I'm so wealthy that I can leave that there all week and I don't need to use it. That's how you start. And the funny thing was that one day I had a friend came to visit, and one of the funny things that you find with this is that you start worrying that all those people that know you didn't have any money and they see you've got a tenner and you sort of complain about not having anything, you think, oh, they'll see that and that they won't help me, or they'll... Anyway, one of my friends came, and when they'd left, there were two £10 notes lying there.
Oh, nice friends.
And it's funny how these things work. It is a form of surrender. It's actually realising you just can't do everything yourself. And I think in my position at the time, I realised I'd run out of ideas. You know, I was at the point where it's a choice between maybe the bailiffs will come and take certain things, or I'll have to file for my own bankruptcy. And at that point, I did what my friends used to talk about. I surrendered. And you can't pretend to let go. You can't pretend to give up. It has to be genuine. So you can't think, oh, right, I give up. And this was like, well, I've tried everything. I've been doing this for years. It's not getting me any better. I've tried all the routes that people talk about, and nothing's really happening. So I hand it over to you. In the same way that if you order online, you actually put your order in, and then you just expect it to turn up. What you don't do is you don't ring up the company and say, oh, did you get my order? Oh, by the way, I don't want you to use this road, I want you to come on the motorway. Oh, can John bring it? I don't want Fred. Because you're cross-cutting, the currents are cross-cutting against you. Because you're actually, it goes back on the shelf. Oh, well, Fred's not here today. Well, the motorway's closed, back on the shelf. You know. So that's the thing to do, and treat this in the same way. So you start to expect that everything's going to be okay. And actually you find, I mean, at home, on occasion, I'll have £120 lying underneath the diary that I don't touch at all, because, you know, I don't actually need to touch it, but I look at it and think, oh, I'm really wealthy. And actually on paper, I might actually be the poorest person in this room on paper, financially. But I'm probably one of the most abundant in my thinking about it. So that's something that I would recommend, doing something like that. The other thing I didn't like was the word work. And I didn't like the word money, and I didn't like the fact that work and money are synonymous and that one equals the other. And I said out loud to the universe one day, you know, I'm going to still try and help, you know, I still want to help people, I still want to give something to people that I give to or help. And if that means that if the only way that I can live on this planet is for working and money, then you may as well kill me now, because I'm still going to give my time my energy to other things and people. That was part of my letting go as well, because I basically said, F it. And that's, somebody's actually written a book called that. But it's that giving over something to a greater conscious power. And I think things, have just generally turned around and been a lot easier. And the other thing is that when you have to buy anything, or you do give some money away, it genuinely does come back from another source. Now, it sounds, there was a time when I would be sat there and thinking, oh yeah, that's ever happened to me. But when you get to that level of a different awareness in your mind, a different way of perceiving things, it does happen in that way. Anyway, I'll let you ask me some questions, and I'll leave it there in terms of the formal talking.
The last thing you just said, Richard, it reminds me of a saying my grandma used to say, and yet she was very careful with money actually, so I don't know why she said it, but she used to say, spend and the Lord will send, save and the devil will take. That was the saying there.
Say that again.
Spend and the Lord will send, save and the devil will take.
Oh, yeah.
And yet she was really quite careful. She wasn't a spender really, but it was a saying that she must have been worked up with maybe.
I think as well, in the Bible, somewhere it says about the three sons when they were given some money. One of them went and invested, and one of them spent it and lost it, and one of them buried it in the ground. And there was a sort of one of those stories that you get that the person that actually invested or spent it was better off really than the person who buried it.
I suppose really though it also means save and the devil will take. If you save and then you end up your house is taken off you to pay for your care home. You might do what you think is doing right, but actually I've got a friend at the moment whose mum's in one with an awful bedroom, and then people that are having it paid for them have got these lovely rooms, and she's not very happy. At all.
It's a shame.
I think you said something similar, Richard, when you were talking about money as financial energy. In that as energy it's needed to operate in the commercial world, and I think on the Bank of England website it says we create money, not wealth. In other words, money is a means for creating wealth by using it. So the spend and the send is that principle, I think,
But I think if you're stuck as well, if you struggle with the two words that I did, that you have to work hard or you have to take a job you don't like in order to get money. Think of it in terms of the fact that they don't have to be together. Think in the terms of, instead of thinking about money from one source, think about a different word, because it's like certain words are loaded in our society with other meaning because it's been a word used for so many years. So I think now in terms of multiple income streams. I imagine a little mountainous valley and all these little streams are coming down to this great big pond, and all I do is I get my cup and dip in when I need what I want. And it's a much friendlier way of thinking about it, so that you've got that constant flow, and you've got abundance in the bottom, because I may only charge someone £10 for a website. If I charge 3 other people a similar amount, then that's in the pond, So that's quite a useful thing to do. So try and think on those terms. Sometimes, business will hijack it and say it's a sort of mixed portfolio. But, I just think you've got to make your own things up.
I think manifesting can sometimes bring you more than you ask for. I'll tell you a funny story. So I wasn't very well, feeling really sorry for myself, in bed and thinking, do you know what, I'm sick of doing all my garden. I think I need some help with a gardener. I'm going to pay for a gardener. So all of a sudden on a thing called My Next Door, so is it like where people sort of a plasterer or different people came up. I love gardening, but I don't have my own garden, but I'm happy to help out and do some gardening. I thought, this is the universe sending me this. So anyway, I didn't open the whole message, and I sent the message and said, I'm very interested, blah, blah, blah. And then I opened it and it said, and I do this for free. And I thought, So I went back and said, I am interested, but I would actually rather pay for the work. And then this is what I got back. I don't transport my own lawnmower. I have a small tool. I am a naturist and I garden in the No! I found his name and looked at the Facebook picture and yes, he was naked with a flower here. He's outside a few times. So first of all, is this a wind-up? So
it is true that the universe has a...
what was I manifesting? I would have said a small tool, Jill. Sorry, that's really naughty, sorry. I just said I wasn't comfortable.
So you were asking about which farmers are you?
Yes, I was, yeah. So maybe I am manifesting that.
Well, the thing is as well, the universe does have a sense of humour, and I think people forget this. Yeah. When I was at Cranfield University, one morning some workmen turned up, and they started digging in front of my window. Now, some of you have seen this on my website, so you know what's coming, but they were digging holes outside my window, and I thought, what's going on here? Then a van turned up, and then they started. I looked in the back of the van, there was this really big sign, and it was huge, and they proceeded to stick it in front of my window. And I thought, well, it's a stupid place to put a sign, you block my view. I did have another window, but I was sat here looking across the yard, there's a car park. So I complained to, I went and said to my managers, why are they putting this here? And we all stood and looking at it. And he went out and they said, oh, well, it's been on cards for a while putting this here. They have to be a certain distance from the door. And this is where this one goes, if it's a certain distance from the door. Anyway, at the time I had instant messenger, and I was married at the time, and I was telling my wife and telling her about it. And we were all getting outraged by it. And then she said, I'll try and focus my mind on... I said, I can't even see the top of it. You know, it was like a Rolls Royce of a sign. Anyway, she said, I'll focus on and see if I can, we can get them to move it. Anyway, a few seconds later, they take it out. And I think they've taken it down. Then I hear an angle grinder, and I look and there's sparks flying. They've cut off that much of the pipe. They put it back in the ground, and now I can see the top of it. I thought, well, that didn't work, did it? Anyway, this went on all day. When I got back at home at 6 o'clock, I sort of busy complaining about the stupidity of this sign. When I spoke to the estates manager at the time, he just laughed about it. And then I suddenly thought, and I said to my ex Lisa, I said, I think I know what I said something. She said, okay, what did you say? Well, I said, when I arrived at work that morning, I was feeling very despondent about things, and there was no one else around, so I just said out loud, I wish the universe would give me a sign that there's more to life than this. And I thought, yes, the universe gave me the biggest F-off sign you could ever imagine. And I didn't see it. And this is another thing that happens with us. We don't always see the signs. But that's the humour. And the thing is, it didn't end there, because when I moved to Yorkshire, the place I was renting off some friends, the people next door wanted to buy it again, and they were worried that I might buy it. So they said, we'd like to buy it. Anyway, they said, well, I'd had 6 months there anyway. So I said, okay, I'll look for somewhere else. Anyway, I was telling this story to a friend that had come round, and I said, and not only that, they didn't even ask me beforehand where I wanted the sign put, because I would have said that's a stupid place to put it. Suddenly there's a knock on the door. I go out the house and there's a low wall, and there's a man stood here, and he said, where do you want your sign? And that's the for sale sign. And I thought, well, at least you asked me this time. So I'm very reluctant to talk about signs. Anyway, go on, Susie.
Recently a friend said they'd seen a seminar where that was saying that affirmations were not the most effective way of sort of helping to create your own reality, that you should ask yourself a question about something that you want to manifest in your life. So let's say, why is it better for me to be healthy, or why is it why would I like to earn more money? And when you ask yourself a question, you start to really think about, you said about focusing. It really focuses your mind on why you want that thing, and so you're sort of enlarging the energy that way rather than saying an affirmation.
I think as well the choice of affirmation, because if I just went around saying I'm wealthy and I knew I wasn't, it's not really helping. But the reason that I said that I am wealthy next to my money was because I had something to go with it.
Yes.
But interestingly, when things are working for you, you know when you've deliberately been part of the creation process, because everything starts to happen with seamless ease. Things appear after forgetting about them. You get more of what you asked for, like Susan said. Outcomes seem more perfect than imagined, and you stop thinking about money, which is another weird one, and you just know that it's all going to work out and be fine. So I went from asking the question, how am I going to afford to pay the rent next month, to what am I going to do with my life today? So complete change. Anyway, I've finished. You're very welcome to look at any books before you go. If there's any more questions, you can ask me anyway.
No, I just think it's great what you've said. I think although we know these things, it's good to be reminded. Because funny enough, we were looking to buy something on the internet this morning, and I said, that was too expensive, I'm not paying that. And then you said, why? We've got, we're fine. It's just interesting that you immediately, I'm not paying that. Oh, they want £5 for postage, and you think, it's okay, just let it be.
I think the other thing that I do is, if I go to a shop or something, I kind of see something, I think, I wouldn't mind one of those. Sometimes I'll leave the shop and then I'll see how I felt. And then if I think, oh no, I really wish I bought that, I might go back, but otherwise I forget and it doesn't matter. I think, that's the other thing. And we think, oh, well, they won't have those next time I come in. Or you might actually think, hang on a minute, have I got something that does that already that I've gone and hidden away somewhere? Or, so it's good to ask yourself the questions when you, rather than just think, right, I've got one of those and 3 of those. Just think, do I need 3 of those, or do I need that one? Or could I just wait another week when I've got a bit more and get that one that's even better,
But it may not be there.
Well, the thing is, I saw a car on the internet one Christmas when I was staying with Lisa, my ex. And because although she's my ex, we get on really well. So we're good friends. And that's good for my daughter too. But I saw this car at Christmas, and I was looking for a replacement. I used to have an Alfa Romeo and a Jeep. I usually have a couple of cars to mess about with. It's a bit of a hobby. And they're always old ones because I think they've got more character. And I thought, well, I can't really get these Alphas anymore, but I'll have a look and see what else is on there. And I saw this little sports car in Manchester somewhere. And so I thought, well, I'll maybe ring up and ask about it. But I thought, well, I can't do anything. But I thought, well, if it's for me, it'll just stay there and it'll be all right. And so a few days later, I was back in Yorkshire, and I rang up. I got a friend who said he'd take me over, and it was still there, and it was perfect. It was immaculate, and so I just bought it. So it waited. But I didn't have any attachment, it didn't matter if it had gone, I just looked for something else.
That's kind of thinking, if it's meant to be that I'm having it, then it will be that.
I mean, sometimes I see things and I think that is definitely mine, for no rational reason. It's not,
No.
So, things will wait for you or come back.
I feel about money, I like a lot of it, but I've been back paid. I've overpaid on my gas bills and electric bills, so they've given me some money back. So I was happy about that. But now I've got to spend some of it, which I'd like to keep. I've got to spend money on my car, which needs doing. My car brakes definitely need doing. And I've got to spend money on my dentist. Now that I've got that money, I don't want to spend the money on the dentist and the car.
Yeah.
So I'm a mixed feelings because I like seeing that pot of money that I got back because I overpaid in
I've been exactly like that as well. I took an I found actually, because miracles happen when you let go of things. I suddenly found that I could take a pension, a works pension from Cranfield University. When I left, I froze it because I knew that it was a good place to leave it, and I forgot all about it. So suddenly I'm able to take it when I was 55. And I thought, well, I'll just see if... I actually rang them up and said, I don't suppose I've still got a pension. And they said, yeah, you can take it when you're 55. And there was a lump sum of... I took the biggest lump sum because at the time I was on a few benefits, and that would have wiped them out if I'd taken so much a month. So I ended up with about £17,200 a month. I thought, well, that's all right. And when you don't have very much, and someone gives you an extra £200, you are so well off. And I thought, well, I don't know if I should spend this now. Same sort of thing, you know. But I decided, well, I'm going to help my ex change all the windows in her house, you know, because she looked after our daughter quite a bit, not after we split up, and I wasn't really able to give anything. So that was £5,000. But it was all right, you know, it was nice to do. And it keeps the energy moving, because when you're not if you're holding on to it, you're so, I better not let go now. And that's the funny thing, when you do get those sorts of amounts of money that you've never had before, you kind of, on the one hand, you can go into somewhere like a Tesco's and think, I could buy anything in here. And on the other hand, you kind of think, I'm not spending anything. You know, this is the first time I've ever had any money in my life. You can still put some out, put some of it, you know, go and turn a bit of it into cash. So every time you walk past it,